The first pro is going to be this engine. This 45 model comes with a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine producing 261 horsepower and 273 pounds-feet of torque. It does 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds, and it certainly is very effortless and quick around town. No problems there. But what really impressed me is the fuel economy. It's rated to do around 23 in the city and like 28 on the highway. I meet and exceed those numbers. While I was shooting my review for this, flooring it here and there, I was getting like 28 mpg the entire time. So it's very impressive. I mean, without even trying, you can beat those EPA estimates for VW and Audi products, and I'm really impressed with that. Out on the highway, you can easily even exceed 32 mpg. So the real world fuel economy, along with how smooth this engine is, there's no vibration, there's no rattling, but you have to keep in mind all of the engine options of the Audi Q5, you do have to use premium fuel. In the plug-in hybrid and the SQ5, this regular Q5, all require premium fuel. That's something to keep in mind, but it's totally fine because it gets amazing fuel economy. The next pro is going to be this extremely solid interior space. There is nothing that's creaking and rattling here. The seats feel great. They're a little bit on the firmer side, but it's like a firm mattress versus a plush mattress, right? Both are comfortable in their own ways, and I think this is extremely supportive and comfortable on a long trip. Plenty of lumbar support, but most importantly, because this interior space is so solid, when you lease this car for 3-4 years, it's still going to remain great and fresh. Or even if you go to purchase a certified pre-owned model, you can be rest assured that you are going to be getting a solid machine. Now, you might be asking me for the cons. I can nitpick it, and I'm certainly going to do that because at the end of the day, this is a pretty expensive vehicle. The way you see it here, it is $58,000, but that's because this is a fully loaded Prestige model. You certainly don't have to get the Prestige. I recommend just going with the Premium Plus for around 52 grand. Here's the main cons, in quotes, that I found. A little bit of a lack of character is what I've noticed, you know, if you want to say that. And also, the brakes were genuinely a little bit soft. Again, this is a press car, so brakes are a pretty easy fix. Just put more aggressive compound brake pads on here and you're pretty much good to go. But that's the only thing I really noticed, and I guess you can say that the design of the wireless charging pad isn't that great because it's located on the sliding device. So once you have it closed, you closed off your access to your cup holders, but that's where you put your your phone to access your wireless charging pad. There was a space up here in the front of the center console. There was kind of an empty space, but it's not large enough to fit a phone. So when I do put my phone in there, it just slides out. But if they made that space a little bit larger, they could have just implemented the wireless charging pad in there, and that could have been a nice place to put your phone instead of blocking off access to your cup holders, right? So it's just kind of a dumb design, that's all. I mean, outside of these three things I just mentioned to you, there's no cons with it. This is such a comfortable machine. Even with the 20-inch wheels that this has, it just glides over small bumps, large bumps easily and effortlessly. So you can imagine with 18 or 19-inch wheels, this would ride like pure butter. Handling, no real cons there. It handles so well for an SUV. Mainly it inspires confidence because a lot of people, they think when I say that an SUV handles well, that it handles like a 911 GT3, and that's just very obtuse thinking. That's not what I'm referring to at all. Your everyday handling, your left hand turns, your right hand turns, this handles it so well. The car remains neutral. Your occupants, they're not being flipped over onto each other. The car doesn't feel like it's gonna flip over. It remains neutral, balanced. That's all I seek, and that's all I really want out of a product like this. A lot of that is due to the excellent suspension design. We have your multi-link suspension both in the front and the rear, 5-link design in the front and the rear. So very sophisticated suspension geometry, and that's why there's no compromise in ride quality and in handling. Quattro all-wheel drive, that is pretty much standard for all the Q5s. That's another huge pro. Safety features are also standard, another massive pro, like the blind spot monitoring, the rear cross traffic alert, and also this is an IIHS top safety pick. Another thing I absolutely love to see. So if you're a family person putting kids back here, you can be rest assured you are driving around in a very safe vehicle. And you feel it, like when you open and close a door. These doors, man, they feel very solid indeed when you go to close them. Now, for some of you, this could be a pro or a con. I mean, this Bang & Olufsen sound system, I appreciate them for offering that as standard for the Premium Plus models in the 2023 model years. Keep in mind, for 2023, this car is not refreshed or redesigned or anything like that. They just gave you a few more things standard, like the adaptive cruise control. They gave you that as standard for all Q5 models, and they made the Bang & Olufsen sound system standard for the Premium Plus model, which is what I recommend most people to get. But this Bang & Olufsen, it doesn't sound significantly better than the regular audio system, the non-branded one. It's a very marginal difference, so don't get me wrong, they both sound great. They're fine systems, you know, it's clear, it's crisp, there's enough bass here. That's not an issue. It's just that if you're expecting this to be a massive jump in quality from the regular sound system, then this is not that. The infotainment, another huge pro, easy to use, easy to respond. You have your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I like the fact that they gave you physical buttons and switches here and knobs to interact with for your HVAC controls. All that is totally separated from your infotainment. I love to see that. All the buttons have a nice tactile, clicky feedback. Another thing that's great about this car. And also the center gauge cluster, totally digital, but it looks great. The animations are quick to respond, and the black levels in both the screens here, it's just nice, high quality, looks crisp. Some people like to argue that there's not that much space in the Q5, but I'll be honest, it's just class competitive. It's more of a petite machine. It's around 184 inches long total, and it rivals the BMW X3. I mean, it's pretty much the exact same amount of space as that, or the Mercedes GLC, pretty much the same legroom, pretty much the same trunk space. There's not a huge discrepancy there, so I think it's enough for most people. I mean, I'm 5'11", I can fit in the front, the back, that's not an issue. I will say it's best for 4 people, 4 adults, not necessarily 5, because there is a massive transmission tunnel going down the middle, so that could be a con actually, but really, the reason why I don't care is because it's class competitive. You know, the trunk space is, you know, pretty large for what this is. It's good enough for most people, and there's a spare tire back there as well. So honestly, I don't think the space is a pro or a con. It's just expected in a car of this class and category, right? Another thing, if they want to improve on this, they can, but it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to find things to complain about. Again, like I mentioned, there's no complaints. I mean, it drives great, it handles great, it rides great, it's quiet. That's another huge pro. I forgot to mention that it's got double pane glass. There's virtually no wind noise with this car. Even at the highway speeds, you just get a subtle tire hum, and a bit of wind noise begins to intrude at like 80 miles an hour. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, this is a very quiet sanctuary of a car, so that's good. The engine is pretty quick, fuel efficient, so as you can see, there's no real practical cons with it, but if they wanted to, this car has a 4-year 50,000 mile warranty, I believe, but there's no free maintenance associated with it. So BMW, I think they give you like 3 years of free maintenance. If they want to be class competitive, they could offer free maintenance, but it's really just a couple $100 worth of free oil changes, I guess. That's mainly about it for 3 years. So even that, I mean, they can add it if they want to, but it's not a big deal. Again, I'm just trying to find things to complain about, but there's really nothing here. It's a nice solid package, man. I can see why this is such a top seller for Audi. I can see why so many people like it. But since you made it to the end of this video, I will show you how to take between 10 to 11.5% off MSRP on a brand new Audi Q5 or an Audi SQ5. How can you do that? Well, I have partnered up with a company known as AutoCompanion. They are based in Washington, D.C. They are partnered up with multiple dealerships in that area, and they are able to give you pretty nice, healthy discounts on these Q5s and SQ5s when you go to build them. So that's the thing. You know, there's a massive car shortage. Obviously, if you've been following the news for the past, I don't know, 2 years now, you kind of know what's going on in the world. There's a massive car shortage and a lot of cars that are being marked up. So here I am presenting to you an opportunity to buy a car under MSRP. However, with Audi, this is kind of a con. There's a 6 to 8 month wait for a car to be built and shipped to you. So that's the issue. You can take a massive discount off of these cars, but you have to wait. Now, in the time of your inquiry, if there happens to be a car that you like in stock at that dealership that they work with, then cool, you can get a discount on an in-stock vehicle and you can get it right away. But again, keep in mind they are located in Washington, D.C., so you will have to pay for shipping. And there is also a broker fee. So there's a $500 broker fee, which I don't think anybody minds paying because you're getting thousands of dollars off of these cars. And if you sign up with my link, you can get $50 off of that broker fee, so $450. But also, if you don't want to have the car shipped, you can just pick it up at Washington, D.C. whenever it arrives. But yes, if you're willing to wait, then there is a massive opportunity to take some money off of these Q5s, either 10% off on a Q5 or 11.5% off on an SQ5, which I certainly recommend. SQ5 was around $63,000, $64,000 when I spec'd one out online, and a premium plus Q5 around $52,000, $53,000. Again, up to you on how you want to spec yours. That's just what it came out for me for specking out a premium plus on both models. If you want to take advantage of those deals, I'll have all the information in the description box. If you enjoyed this video, I'll have the full review of this Q5 on the end screen here, so make sure to check that out next.